In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Hey! It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order Podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, roll your ass!
Welcome to the first ever exclusive Twitch version of the Raw and Order WBU, the only wrestling podcast on the planet to have just become Twitch affiliated and doing their first show right now. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good, how are you, man? Well, I mean, I'm not good, let's be honest. The sporting world has not been kind to me.
This has been a not fun week for
Nebraska fans.
I was gonna say not fun week, but it's 2 decades. Not fun 2 decades for Nebraska fans.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before the show, and I know people don't tune to this to talk football, but they rather wrestling. But we're both in Nebraska, so we're Husker fans by default, you know. And the Huskers fired their head coach today, which we both agree. I'm not entirely sure that's the best move. It's by sure not the best move financially, because he had a buyout clause that cut in half October 1st. In half.
Yeah. Awkward,
so them firing him today was like a $9 million extra they had to pay. That if they just waited a few weeks, they would have saved that. Now, and not my money, so whatever.
It is, though. I mean, you're a taxpayer.
Well, I am, but I mean, the one thing, the University of Nebraska sports, specifically their football team, is almost entirely donor funded. Which means it still doesn't really come out of our taxes. It comes out of the donors' pockets. And if this is what they fucking want to do, more power to them. But that's a lot of money to pay to fire someone. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't disagree.
A lot of money.
Especially when you could have just waited a little longer.
Yeah, just wait a couple weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're like, whatever. But nope, they fired him, and so I think that means they've just given up on the week entirely, or the year entirely for him. And I guess some people thought he was the chosen one. He was going to bring balance to the force. And some didn't, and he didn't bring balance to the force.
No. Well, he didn't bring. I mean, maybe he did bring balance to the force. It was just the wrong direction. That argument lies in Anakin. I mean, the Jedi ruled the universe. Did he bring balance to the force? Kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Kinda.
Well, I mean, to use Star Wars talk, technically Vader did bring balance to the Force. There were dozens upon dozens of Jedi before him, and then after him, there were 2 that were in hiding, and then a couple other that sporadically have stories about them. So he did bring balance to the Force, just not in the way people wanted, apparently. And maybe that's Scott Frost. Now, I've also said there are some things that were outside of Scott Frost's hands that I think hurt the Huskers. I think moving divisions, conferences, what was it, 10 years ago when we moved? More than
I think
that.
it's been rough on us a little bit.
I think that was I know financially it was a good choice for us, but from a football standpoint, we were big dogs in a small pond in the Big 12, and we moved to the Big 10, and now we're small fish in a big
We
pond.
were equal-sized fish with a equal-sized pond.
I don't know if we were equal sized. I think we were
Financially, we were.
Financially, but from a football power standpoint, we weren't.
True.
You know, in the Big 12, we were constantly in the top 3 in the division. Even in our bad years in the Big 12, we were still in the hunt. And then we moved to the Big 10, which, you know, sooner or later, they're going to have to change that name. Because, I mean, there were more than 10 in there for a long time.
Before we started, yeah.
But now, because didn't they have 2 more teams join up this year? Or pledge this year to join next year? There's a lot of people in the Big 10 now.
Yes, so they were at 14, now they're at 16, and it looks like it could go even larger than that.
Yes. So yeah, 60, you know, I get it. Big 16 doesn't sound as good. But you know, I think we're in terms of football, we're small potatoes in this big pond. So I mix my analogies.
There's potatoes in our pond.
Yes, we are potatoes in this pond. But sorry. But anyways, let's get to wrestling, because I think we've got a lot to talk about with wrestling this week.
Yeah, yeah. We touched on at least one of them.
Yeah, we went out on I went out. Well, let's call a spade on this thing. I went out on the FBI on a 40-minute long rant of what I thought needed to be done for AEW after the fight. And I feel like
joked around as a fantasy booking.
Mm-hmm. I feel like publicly we don't know exactly what happened, but I feel like backstage, at least from what we've seen happen on Friday, that they've at least done a lot of the stuff that I ranted about. I feel like TK put on his big boy pants and said, "Listen, you guys, you can't."
You know, there were still people coming at him on fire about not interrupting, and I don't know if you're that blindsided. I mean, sometimes you have to process what's really going on. Like,
you know, I understand that. I still think even then there was a point he should have been like, well, you know, let's take a step back. Let's talk about this. Let's do this elsewhere. I was one of the people coming at him for that he didn't stand up for his own guys. You know, on that, but that was me, you know, and he since then he did. I mean, obviously he put on, like I keep saying, his big boy pants, but he obviously did something to clean things up a bit, because at least 7 people suspended. And the reason I say at least 7 people, because Ace Steel and CM Punk were not on the list of suspended because they are potentially fired. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. We know where everybody else stands. Those are the 2 we don't know where they stand.
Yeah.
It has not been stated whether or not it's just a suspension or going to be more. Ace Steel may be dealing with some legal stuff.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, from all the reports coming out of this, Like, the reports from the CM Punk side were like, they busted down my door and they were threatening me, and I had to fight. I had to throw hands, and the reports coming from the elite side, were just like, hey, he said, if you have a problem with me, come to my door. My door's always open. So we went and we knocked on his door, and we opened it, and he immediately started throwing hands, and there wasn't anything we could do. And I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? But that being said, there's one thing in the report that I 100% believe and 100% buy. And that is that Kenny Omega was more concerned with saving the dog. The dog was distraught because of the chaos happening, and he was more concerned with how do I save this dog than he was with
throwing fisticuffs.
And then Ace Steel started biting his head. That's the.
I didn't hear the biting his head part.
Yeah, Ace Steel apparently was trying to bite. I don't know if his head or his arm. I'm not sure, but
I heard about him throwing stuff.
Yeah, but Ace Steel apparently was like biting. And I like, here's the deal: is CM Punk's side was they came here to fight, so I started fighting. And if you're Ace Steel and your boy's getting jumped 3-on-1, of course you come to his aid. I get that. I understand it. Of course, the other side is they didn't come 3-on-1 to throw hands. They came at the very least 4-on-1 to talk, because one of the people that they brought apparently was the chief legal officer for AEW, who's also kind of the number 2 in AEW, right? So
feel like he wouldn't have gone to fisticuffs.
Yeah, she definitely would not have. Yeah, but that's the deal, is she was 100% not there for fisticuffs. Now you could make the argument that they brought her there as a witness. I feel more likely they brought her there
as protection.
Well, as a mediator, Listen, you've obviously got beef with us. Let's have this legal counsel here to talk between us so that we can figure this out. And then CM Punk starts throwing hands. And
I feel like the biggest thing that this has done, more than, it's not going to affect AEW in the long run. It temporarily affects some of their EVPs as performers. But more than anything else, this has shown us that CM Punk is the problem in CM Punk's life.
Mm-hmm.
Because we believed that it was Vince. We believed it was Trips. At least a personal beef between him and Trips. And we've seen himself work himself into a shoot before. When Trips did the King of Kings gimmick, and Steph came out and said, the best wrestler in the world. And CM Punk rolled his eyes in the background. Yeah. Like, he works himself into a shoot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you have to know you're an actor. Like, I kind of feel like he's a diva. Like, he's the definition of a diva.
Well, let's see. I mean, it felt a lot like deja vu. Because this was really a very similar way to how he flamed out in WWE, He starts taking himself so seriously. That then he, he works himself into a shoot.
Which makes me believe that, truth be told, he probably did say smack about or probably did try to get Colt Cabana regulated to ROH. That's probably true. Which sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Also makes me think that he's the issue in the Colt Cabana issue.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, no problem.
But yeah, no, that's the deal. I mean, whenever someone immediately starts saying, hey, I'm not the problem, someone else is the problem, I start to wonder if they're not really the problem. You know what I mean? Like, you start pointing fingers the other way. I really do feel like the old saying, when you point a finger, there's three more pointing back at you, is pretty true there.
Yeah, I wanted to believe that WWE was the problem before, and I can't help but believe now at this juncture. It's the asshole theory that we talk about so often.
Yeah.
If one person has a problem with you, it might be that person's fault. If everybody has a problem with you, it's probably your fault.
Yeah. And that's the deal. It's in the end, I still consider myself a CM Punk fan. I like watching him wrestle, right? He is a good wrestler. He does entertaining promos.
I thought his promos were great until he works himself into a shoot.
Until he works himself into a shoot. And listen, did Hangman Page go off book, into business for himself with that promo? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. We've been talking about it since AEW started. They don't script their promos, right? They don't have a writer backstage saying, here's what you say. They just, are there, right? They say, here's what your promo needs to say, and however you want to say it. And so for Hangman Page to come out and say, I'm not defending this title to you, I'm defending it from you, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense now,
I also think what a great promo.
Yeah, was that going off script? Maybe. I mean, was going into business for himself? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he was told to say. But did it make a good promo? Did it make me want to watch that match even more? Yes. Did they put on a great match? Yes. Right? But that was 3 months ago.
Yeah, also, when's the time to let it go?
Yeah, let it I mean, Jesus, we have an entire children's movie based around the concept of let it go, right? Maybe that's the problem. CM Punk never had a kid who wanted to watch Frozen 1,000 times.
Well, I mean,
I speak from experience.
AJ could be his kid. I mean, she's quite a bit younger than him, and
that does bring us really quickly before we get too far into it. One of the things with being an affiliate is there will be ad breaks. We haven't had to do ad breaks on our show in quite a time, so we've gotten used to no ad breaks. But there will be some ad breaks during this. I hope to be able to warn everyone before they happen. We've got, I want to say, about 15 minutes or so before we have to do our first ad. I don't know what they're going to be. We'll find out. But, anyways, there's a lot of fun features being affiliate, though. So if you are following and all that stuff, you're going to start earning channel points that you can turn in for some channel rewards. There's subscriptions that we can do, channel reward requests. That like you can pay some channel points. Channel points are earned just by watching, by the way. These aren't bits. These aren't money you spend. They're just, and you can send a request to have us sit up in our chairs or have a drink or shout you out or do a bunch of stuff.
Stuffs are cool.
Stuffs. You can even spend some to get special emotes that are only available to subs, even if you're not a sub. But
sorry. Wanted to make sure I got that point across.
Yeah. But anyways, so we will have to do ads at some point. Well, but we'll play it by ear on that.
Why are we going to do ads from our ears?
Well, that's where they go. They go in your ears.
Ooh. I really hope there's a toilet paper ad.
Me too.
I don't know why I would want toilet paper so badly, but what a wonderful ad. What else in the world of wrestling? I mean, I feel like all week long has been that.
I mean,
that
that's been
MJF's
the major
phenomenal.
MJF is fucking. I've said this before. I think we've all said this. Not only his Twitter game's on fire. For shouting out Ringside News, the worst dirt sheet, as being the least biased dirt sheet. That was fucking phenomenal. He also gave a shout out to Pete Rosenberg, which, fuck Pete. I have beef with Pete.
You had steaks with Pete?
Nope, just beef. Not the good beef.
Like five guys, or?
But
I'd be happy to have Five Guys with Pete Rosenberg. Not because of Pete Rosenberg, but because of Five Guys.
Yeah, I definitely would have Five Guys with pretty much anyone, right?
Yeah.
Fucking. But also his promo.
My worst enemy calls me and says, "Hey, you want to get some Five Guys tonight?" My answer is probably, now I want a Five Guys ad. I will personally cut the Five Guys ad if Five Guys is the ad.
Here's the deal. I don't get a say in what the ads are.
I'm just saying. If we do get a say and we can make it Five Guys, I'm down with Five Guys.
But in terms of MJF, his promo on Dynamite was fucking great. Yeah. Comes out all babyface in a Buffalo Bills jersey, hams it up for the crowd, talks about how great the crowd is and how he came back for them and all of that. Top tier. Then Mox comes out and is like, cut the fucking shit. We know why you're here. And he pretends for a second, and then the switch flips. And he's back to the MJF that we know and love. Love to hate.
Yeah. It's a pretty hateable fella. But yeah, his Twitter game this week. Oh.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
On Raw, Dominic. Sorry, we were still talking about MJF. On Raw, Dominic made his choice official and sided with the Judgment Day. So fucking dumb. Against both Ray and Edge. We had a fatal 4-way. New Day versus Lotharios versus Alpha Academy versus Street Profits, which didn't really matter because Braun Strowman came out and beat the tar out of all of them. So that's the big return there. Braun's back.
Braun!
I will give him this. He's got new ring gear that looks a lot better than the tattered jeans that he wore before. Because I always thought it was weird that those jeans came from when he was part of the Wyatt family, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And they looked great. They were perfect for his position in the Wyatt family. But then he went off on his own
and didn't change his ring
and never changed anything for his ring gear, and still came out in tattered jeans. It made no sense. So this new ring gear is better. It also... WWE fits him better than any other place would have, right? I mean, he was in CYN, controlling his narrative there. That's fine. But, I mean, I think we've seen CYN is not really a competitor, no matter how much EC3 wants to build it as that. Because every single time they have anyone on CYN who gets even the slightest bit of hint at a job at one of the other majors, they fucking bolt. First chance they get, you know what I mean? Karrion Kross did it. Braun Strowman did it. There have been a half a dozen who've started showing up on Impact instead. or NWA or almost any other place.
Well, because at the end of the day, I mean, how much can you control your narrative? At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, there has to be an impartial third body or a partial third body that understands the marketing aspects of it.
I think it's even more simple than that. You can want to control your narrative all you want, but at the end of the day, bills need paid, right?
Yeah, and if you're only selling out 200 member bars,
Yeah. If you're Braun Strowman, who's had $1 million paychecks the last 10 years,
well, maybe not 10 years, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Eventually, you've built up a lifestyle that demands a certain income, right? And you can tighten your belt and cut some things here and there, but your house, wherever he lives, it costs a certain amount. His car, whatever he drives, costs a certain amount. His insurance, his health insurance, all that stuff costs a certain amount. And CYN, he may have been able to squeak by with what he was getting in from CYN, but then WWE comes, and even if he took a half his old salary at WWE, he's still paying his bills again. The same thing with Karrion Kross. CYN may have been a short-term thing, but he was always going to go someplace else, right? Whether it was AEW, who apparently negotiated with him but didn't have an interest in Scarlett. I don't get that, but whatever.
Yeah, even the women's division needs jobbers, guys.
Yeah. And Scarlett's not that bad.
No,
she's not my favorite, but in the grand scheme of things, she's she's better than half of the divas from the diva era.
Oh, sure.
And so, and she has marketability even just as Karrion Kross's valet manager, whatever you want to call her,
Correct.
So in that respect, it's like, why they didn't want her, I don't get it, But WWE was like, yeah, bring her with you, and he's like, okay, cool, boom, cut me that check, I'm coming back. Now, yes, Triple H being back in charge had something to do with it. Not saying it didn't. But those dollar bills had a lot to do with it too. Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez beat Doudrop and Nikki S.H. in a non-title bout. Whatever.
Yeah, that's I don't know what's going on there with the whole Doudrop Nikki S.H. storyline.
It's so weird. It's problematic for me because it shows signs of a Vince McMahon potentially still being behind the scenes. I don't want to believe he is, but because they go down to NXT last week and challenge NXT before the pay-per-view. And they put on a great match down there and everything. They look like they might be back on track. And then they come up here and they just get beat the tar out of by the tag champions. So it makes you wonder, it's kind of like when
steps here.
Yeah, when Vince McMahon had control of WWE, of Raw, but not of NXT, people were treated like stars on NXT and then jobbers on Monday Night Raw. And that's what it feels like they're doing there, because they went down there, they had a great match with the champions, and then they come up here and they have a not great match with the champions. And I know that the belief is that the current WWE Women's Champions, Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez, are placeholders for the coming
Sasha and Naomi,
right? I know that's the belief. I don't know
whether it's true or not.
True or not, I don't know yet. Well, I will find out. But that's at least the belief that they've built up, right? Or what most people believe. But you still, I don't know, make the rest of the division look okay. You need to do that, Austin Theory got his first name back.
Yeah.
and then got beat up by Kevin Owens. So it's been continuing the storyline of Theory getting his ass kicked.
Which could make for a good cash-in.
Mm-hmm.
He cashes in on somebody really weak and then schmozzes off to try and avoid having to have a match ever.
Damian Priest beat Rey Mysterio with the help of Dom. Bobby Lashley had a cage match against The Miz. And unfortunately, the only thing we talk about coming out of this is not
Dexter
Bobby
Loomis.
Lashley looking dominant or anything like that. It's that Dexter Loomis showed up out from under
That was the overhead picture of him, of Miz looking down and seeing Dexter Loomis was gold.
Mm-hmm.
The dude plays a great creeper.
He does.
The assumption is he's not actually a creep like that in real life, but if he is, you found your calling, bud.
Yeah. On Dynamite. Excuse me. It started off with the update from TK, which I feel like he should have addressed the situation in some way. Because all he said is, after the events of All Out, I've been forced to vacate the titles.
See, so we don't really typically talk about what we're going to talk about on the podcast in person. However, I did call you that night because I was excited about it. And I disagree with you. And so that's where I'm kind of glad we're having that conversation. Because I think he did just fine. I think he knew that everybody knew.
I think everybody knew. I think the air quotes hardcore fans knew, but the air quotes casuals don't. And I know I've gone on and off about how I don't think there are casual fans. There's people that watch and people that don't. But if you look at the viewership for Dynamite this week, a lot of people tuned in to start off the show. And then it went down and down and down after that. And it was a good show. It might have been the best Dynamite of the year.
Well, I mean, you lost your viewership after that triple threat because that was a fire match. How do you beat that?
If you look at the quarter hours, first quarter they're at 1.2 million. Second quarter hour they're at 1.1. Third quarter hour they were at 1.05. Fourth quarter hour they're at 900,000. It was basically just a line down. People tuned in for the start, and then once it was said, and so there could have been. I appreciated him doing it at first. Started off, get it out of the way, but some people suggest that it would have been better to build up for the announcement, right? Whatever, right? But here, all I'm saying is, you don't have to go into details. You didn't have to say, after the horrendous fight between our champions and all of this stuff, based on what CM Punk said, his unprofessional behavior. Yeah, you don't have to do that. But acknowledge that there was a fight backstage. You say, listen, after the fight that erupted backstage following All Out.
He didn't say the words media scrum, which should have been a conversation.
Media scrum, something, right? That's what I said. All he needed to do, and I'm putting this in the minor gripe. I wish he would have done this, but I don't think it was the worst thing. I just wish he would have said, after the fight that erupted backstage following All Out, I've been forced to vacate the titles. Because that at least sells a new storyline based off of it, right?
Sure.
The Elite can come back. CM Punk could come back down the road, and you could build a storyline about how they don't get along. I feel like you just
butthurt that there wasn't the get along shirts.
I am a little butthurt there. No get along shirts at all. But I'll get past that. But anyways, so then he announced there's going to be a tournament to crown a new champion, which I suspicion the tournament was already planned, and they just rejiggered it to be.
Why would it be already?
I think it was going to be a number one contenders tournament.
Oh.
I think it was going to be a number one contenders tournament to sell a bunch of storylines.
You didn't think they were going to roll right into MJF?
I think MJF was going to deliver basically the same promo he delivered, where he said, I see this number one contenders tournament, and I'm not in it, but it doesn't matter because I've got the chip. I'm the winner of the ladder match, so I've got my shot whenever I want it, right? Which is effectively the promo that he delivered as it was. So I think that that's exactly what they were planning. Him to do that promo, him to say, because if you look at it this way, right? That tournament that they announced, I'm trying to see if I can pull up the bracket. I don't see the bracket here. Anyways, that tournament, you had Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin, right?
Sammy Guevara.
Already scheduled to be taped that night. So you had Sammy and Darby there. And Darby cut a pre-taped promo backstage. Now, yeah, that could have been done. There were 3 days in between. So you had a story being told with Hangman Page trying to come back. You had a story being told with the trios where he wasn't available for the trios match, Death Triangle versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, right?
Okay.
So I think that the tournament was already planned to be a number one contenders match. To set up the first number one contender for CM Punk. I think it was set up to build up a new star. That's why Darby Allin was in it. That's why Sammy Guevara was in it. All of them are set up to go against people that they've either had troubles with before, or are in a program.
Troubles with in the future.
Yeah, or building troubles with in the future. Bryan Danielson is in the middle of a feud with Jericho. Just had a match against Jericho that he lost. And then on Wednesday, he wins the match versus Hangman Page, and now he goes against Jericho next week, right? So all of this, number one contender, I think was just designed to be a number one contenders match. I think that Kenny Omega was going to be in it, and they had to, figure some things out for Kenny Omega to not be in it.
It's probably why Darby's in it, to be honest with you.
I think it's why Mox is in it, to be perfectly honest.
Reports have it be going Kenny versus Mox.
Reports have it Mox was supposed to be on vacation. Like, he joked about it in his promo, but reports have it that he was legitimately going to be taking 3 weeks off. So if my theory is correct that this tournament was pre-planned, then he was a late addition replacing someone. But we're now going to have a Sammy Guevara versus Mox match this week. I'm excited for that. Danielson versus Jericho.
I feel like even if you do, Mox, just postpone your vacation for this one match, and Mox loses, I'm not mad.
No. Well, and here's the thing. Mox can lose it and not lose any face because Sammy Guevara is part of a heel faction.
Correct. So they can cheat to win.
So there can be cheat to win, which there already was. That's how he beat Darby. Was Anna Jay came out and tried to affect it from one side, leading for there to be an opening for heel tactics on the other side. So they can have Mox lose due to heel tactics, and Sammy Guevara go on. I think most people think the final is going to be Danielson versus Moxley. I can see where that's the smart betting. Well, or just who's really the alpha of this team? Can this team survive them going against each other? I think the way they've built BCC, it doesn't necessarily have to break up the team because the whole thing was they had to fight to get into the team in the first place, you know?
True.
And that would be a great match. You know, it would be a great, pay-per-view championship match. It would be a great way to crown Bryan Danielson the AEW champion. I think that's the way you go.
Makes the most sense.
Of the people in this tournament, I think that's the way you go. Because Mox is a 2-time champion.
Yeah.
He just recently lost the match. It doesn't hurt him to lose a championship match. He's already been built up. And then he can go take his time off and take his vacation, right? I do not feel like Sammy Guevara is quite there yet, even though I'm a huge Sammy Guevara fan.
Sammy Guevara.
I fully believe he is the star of the future. But
of the future. Oh wait, no, that's not
the important word in there is of the future, not of the present, not of the now. Right.
Are you always living with your brain in the future, man?
It's galaxy brain. It's always 2 seconds ahead.
Galaxy brain.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Anyways, but yeah, no, I believe that's. I was surprised Sammy won. To be perfectly honest, I thought they were going to go with Darby winning. When I saw the heel maneuvers go on, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Darby doesn't lose anything because he was cheated on to win. Sammy Guevara can go on. Darby versus John Moxley would have been fucking great to see.
Fire, yeah.
Darby versus Bryan Danielson in the finals would have been great to see. I think this gives them a chance to build up someone. My pick, if I were to be putting together the final match for this, I still think Bryan Danielson's the way to go in terms of who wins the tournament and becomes the champion. But I think Sammy Guevara versus Bryan Danielson would be a great match to highlight one of your future stars. He can come up short even with heel tactics. Bryan Danielson could carry a paper bag to a 10-star match. And Sammy Guevara is way better than a paper bag.
Side note from the Media Scrum weekend, not that particular Media Scrum, but did anybody ever expect to see a moment where the only 5-star match for the weekend was WWE? Meltzer. Somebody did expect to see. Well, you called it being the best match. I don't know if you said it'd be a 5-star.
I don't know if I said 5-star. I'll give you that. I did say potential match of the weekend, though.
Yeah. Well, you said match of the night, not the weekend. You thought AEW would outperform. But again, that comes down to the physicality. That it is nice to see stars given for massive physicality, not just flip-de-doos. And pure work rate. I guess physicality does fall under work rate, but that's a different sort of physicality, man, or a different sort of work rate right there. Mm-hmm. Those guys beat the fuck out of each other. And what I'm talking about, for those who haven't heard yet, Dave Meltzer gave, of all the matches we had over Labor Day weekend, Dave Meltzer gave that weekend one 5-star match, and it was Sheamus versus Walter or Gunther.
Trying to see if I can pull up the star ratings for next weekend for all of them. I mean, that was definitely the star ratings of the night. That was, but I'm trying to remember. So All Out, the Casino Ladder match, 3.25 stars. Pac versus Kip Sabian. Oh, I disagree, but he only gave that 2 stars. Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Gave 3.5 stars. Elite versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order, 4.5 stars. Which was potentially the match of the night. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, 1.75 stars, which, let's be honest, that's about where it should have been. Right? Jade Cargill versus Athena, another squash, 1.5 stars. Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed, which may have been my match of that night in terms of
all
overall.
Swerve in Our Glory. Oh wait, that's
4.5 stars. Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii, 4.5 stars. The women's Fatal 4-Way, 3 stars. Miro and Darby Allin and Sting versus the House of Black, 3.25 stars. Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho, 4 stars. And CM Punk versus Jon Moxley, 4.25 stars.
he was a little savage to that Jade Cargill match.
Yeah, he was not.
I didn't hate it.
Particularly happy. Yeah,
I mean, I understand that I could even give it.
It wasn't a 5-star match. It wasn't even a 3-star match, but 1.5 stars is a little bit less than I probably would have done.
I'd give it a DNR, if anything. Like, if you're going to dock it for being that short, then just give it a DNR. Did not rate.
Yeah. So for Clash of the Castle, Madcap Moss and the Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Alpha Academy. That was the kickoff show, 3.25 stars. Edge and Ray versus Finn and Damian Priest, 3.75 stars. Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky versus Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca Belair, 4 stars. We've already mentioned Gunther versus Sheamus, 5 stars. Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler, 3.25. Seth Freakin' Rollins versus Matt Riddle, 4.25. And Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, 4.5 stars. But I don't see... I'm trying to see if I can find... Because I don't see a... Did he not do NXT?
I don't think he did.
He normally does. I'm just not seeing it here, so let's do Here we go. Just had to go to a different thing. Braun Breaker versus Tyler Bate for the championship. This looks like it's going in backwards order, but 4.25 stars. Katana Chance and Caden Carter versus Doudrop and Nikki ASH. This, I feel, he's harsh on only 2 stars for that. Mandy Rose versus Blair Davenport versus Meika Satomura, 3.25 stars. Diamond Mine versus Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen versus Gallus versus Pretty Deadly for the Unified Tag Champions, 3.25 stars. Carmelo Hayes versus Ricochet for the NXT North American, 4.5 stars. I think all around, I think he was harsh on ratings. I think the Gunther versus Sheamus match was probably worth more than 5 stars.
Yeah, but you're a mark.
It's my name.
Yeah.
It's
You're also a mark in wrestling.
4/5 of my last name. Anyways,
I feel like you've had your name too long. If you've decided that it's actually 4/6, 2/3, because you have an S at the end of Smarks.
that was added at Ellis Island, so I don't claim it.
Oh, you're going back to your heritage.
They decided Smark was too weird and
Smart.
hard to pronounce, so they added an S to it.
Smart.
Anyways,
Oh, okay.
as for Dynamite, you had the Trios Championship, Death Triangle versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. I really, like, half a dozen times in this thought that Best Friends were going to pull it out.
And that's where storytelling comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling the opposite story that Athena and Jade Cargill told. It was telling balance in the division, balance at the top of the division.
By the way,
Athena and Jade Cargill.
I have to point. Where's he at? Where did I put him? Oh, he's back there. He's right behind Orange Cassidy, right there. I finally got a Chuck E. T. action figure, so I've got him back there with Orange Cassidy.
Chuck E. T's a joke next to Brent or Trent.
Yeah, if there was a Trent Beretta there one, I would have bought it. If there had been a Chris Statlander, I would have bought it. I want to get the whole Best Friends family together.
Wow. Best friends.
I also I don't think I can turn enough that you can see him. He's in there. I have Hangman Page that I finally opened up. I think I showed it last week, but so I got my Hangman Page and I got my Trent, my Chuck E. T. there. I need my Trent Beretta now. Gotta keep my eyes open for it. Anyways, I just thought this should have been the time you finally crown Best Friends. They've been some of your top merch sellers. Orange Cassidy is one of your most popular superstars. And also,
I deeply enjoyed him and Bach facing off in the ring.
I really, you know how Penta has his Zero Miedo.
Yeah.
I really wanted Orange Cassidy to be like, whatever.
It'd be too much work.
And like, whatever. But anyways, I just thought this was the time to get rid of the always the bridesmaid, never the bride of them. You know what I mean? I also, and I think I even said this to you that, or maybe it was on Fantasy Booking. I think it was Fantasy Booking. I said, I just didn't think it was time for us to have someone with two belts. And that's what Pac is now. He's Tupac. Tupac. But I'm ching. But it still was a fucking.
Your people thought he was hanging out on an island with Elvis.
You had the interim world championship. I think here's another thing I want to throw out to Tony Khan. Just fucking stop with the interim shit. Stop.
Yeah.
Just if someone can't defend a belt, have them vacate it.
But right? You saw how that worked out for Finn Balor, and he didn't get a title shot later on. So
I understand it, and that's a shame for Finn Balor. But I shouldn't have to say Tony Storm is the interim world's champion. He should just be the world champion. But Tony Storm versus Penelope Ford was a good match. Penelope Ford always delivers decent. Tony Storm is awesome.
Well, I mean, so imagine for a moment on interim, what happens if Punk beats Mox the first time? Does that mean Mox is only a single time champion?
That's the deal. Is when you say interim, does it count? I would say it counts, but then you have two champions during that time. That's confusing. I don't like that. So that's why I think they just need to get rid of the interim title, just in general. Just nope, you are the champion. TNT Championship match: Wardlow versus Tony Nese. Wardlow just destroyed Tony Nese. It was what it was.
On that interim run, just because we were there, I would say that you can do a no champions advantage match for that person when they come back. Like, you have a guaranteed future title shot because you did relinquish your title for injury. So you've got a guaranteed title shot without champion's advantage against the champion when that time comes.
Or just be consistent and say you will have your championship match and give it to him. You know, I mean, you bring up Finn Balor. It didn't work great for Finn Balor. But that is an inconsistent booking standpoint. That's not an inherent problem.
I like the idea of removing champion's advantage.
I like the idea of it in other situations. I just don't think you need to go to that part for this. You just say, listen, you had to vacate. You're going to get your shot when it comes back, but we need a world champion now. There's no other sport that does interim world champion, right?
No.
Boxing doesn't say interim world champion. If you're not able to defend,
boxing sometimes does.
I've never seen it, so I'll look it up. But
I'm looking it up right now.
As far as I've ever seen in boxing, if you're the world champion and you're unable to defend it, you vacate it. But there are like a dozen boxing leagues, so maybe I missed one.
An alternate title that was an interim championship is an alternate title that was awarded by the sanctioning bodies of professional boxing and in other combat sports, such as kickboxing, professional wrestling, and mixed martial arts. It has, in fact, happened. It hasn't happened a lot in professional boxing. WBC did it for super middleweight David Benavidez, super welterweight Sebastian Fundora, and flyweight McWilliams Arroyo.
I feel like I need.
Those are current interim champions.
I feel like I need to bring up a "Who the fuck is this?" shirt now. But I don't follow boxing super well, so who knows? But it doesn't matter. I still think interim champions is a fucking joke. If you can't defend it, you drop it, and then you come back and try to get it again. That's the rule, right? And you can even make it a contractual thing. Like, remember back in the day, we always had the storyline where if you don't defend your belt at this pay-per-view, the clause in your contract says you vacate the belt.
Every 30 days, I remember that.
Oh no, I have to defend it. And so you just have it be like that. Listen, I can't defend my belt at this pay-per-view because I'm injured. Well, that sure sucks to be you, Thunder Rosa. But because of that, if you don't defend it, you must vacate that title. Since you didn't lose it in a match, we will give you a shot to get it back later. But for now, you are no longer the champion. Hand the belt over. Because I think it lowers Tony Storm. Right?
Yeah, you're only a temporary champion.
You're just the interim. You didn't actually win that belt.
You're just a temporary. Yeah.
Wardlow defeated Tony Nese, beat the shit out of him. Powerbomb Symphony. I thought it was great. I thought it was super great that it started off with Tony Nese bagging on Wardlow's physique. That Wardlow isn't as ripped as him. Look at my abs. Look at my pecs. Look at your pecs. And he literally reached up and
touched his boob.
Yeah, lifted.
Booby slapped him.
Lifted Wardlow's boob. Yeah, look, your pecs aren't as tight as mine. And then Wardlow just destroys him. And then the promo afterwards, he reminded everyone that this is still Wardlow's world and he's going to rule it. I think it's something that Wardlow needed to get back that kind of momentum.
Yeah.
Then we had the first of the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. That's also part of why I feel like it was pre-planned. Is that Tournament of Champions, Grand Slam going into their Grand Slam show at Arthur Ashe. I feel like they had already planned to have this big tournament with a big payout at Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's called the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. Let's put a bunch of champions in it. Former champions for the number one contenders. Anyways, Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page. Danielson won. It was a really good match, all in all. It continues to set up this storyline of Hangman Page being lost and not able to win ever since he lost the belt to CM Punk. He's kind of lost focus, lost in his head. I think that's a great storyline to have there. And then the main event for the night was the Ring of Honor Pure Championship match. And this is part of why I think it's so sad that the ratings dropped so much. Only about 800,000 people watched this Ring of Honor Pure Championship match. Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta. They put on a fucking clinic out there. And
new.
And Daniel Garcia is your new Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Which I think that tells a story with Daniel Garcia, because the whole story with him was, is he a sports entertainer or is he a wrestler? Well, how can you claim to be a sports entertainer when you are the Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling Champion? You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Also, I think it sets up Daniel Garcia and potentially Wheeler Yuta to leave AEW and join Ring of Honor full-time once Ring of Honor relaunches fully. And be focal points of the Ring of Honor division. And then, of course, at the end, the Code of Honor post-match handshake. Bryan Danielson came out and officially strapped the belt around Daniel Garcia, leading to Jericho throwing a hissy fit.
Wasn't totally a hissy fit.
It was a hissy-ish fit.
He didn't lay down on the ground and start kicking. And the man is too classy for that.
Well, you are correct. He did not throw that sort of a hissy fit, but he still threw a fit. Anyways, but it was a good match. I just was sad that it didn't get as many views. Going on to SmackDown, Braun is now officially part of the SmackDown roster, which that's fine. Solo Sikoa made his SmackDown debut as part of the Bloodline, as we knew. Hit Row and the Street Profits versus Maximum Male Models and Los Lotharios happened. Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. I kind of figured that's the way they were going once they put Imperium back together, because there's really only one other trio currently active in, and that's the Bloodline. So it's either the Bloodline or the Brawling Brutes.
And yes, please, to that one as well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this will be great in the long run. Both of them will be great. It's nice to see Imperium back together. It's sad that they all had to change their names to do it, but whatever. I still think the problem wasn't so much that they changed their names, it's who got which name. I think Ludwig Kaiser should have been Walter's new name. And then
I'll say it was that they changed their names. Just don't do it. It's so dumb. Especially when you're young Walter.
Now the thing is, I get it. Walter's his real name. And he even talked about it in an interview this week, or maybe it was last week. He said, Walter's my real name. They wanted to be able to monetize it. I get it. This is wrestling. Wrestlers change their names. You know. My thing, again, is Gunther is a henchman's name. It's not the leader's name. In my mind, I hear Gunther and I think that's the guy who gets yelled at by the leader.
Bitch.
Yeah, get to work, Gunther. Gunther, go bring me my bag. Gunther, why haven't you washed the car yet?
I get it. I just...
Whereas Ludwig Kaiser, even just Ludwig, call him Ludwig. I think I would have been better with, but Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez beat Toxic Attraction in a non-title match. We have Toxic Attraction now on Smackdown, which I'm interested to see whether that's going to be a real permanent thing or whether that was just a one-time call-up. I mean, importantly, Mandy Rose didn't show up with them. So are they separating them? I don't know.
That's a good point.
And then they had the Fatal 5-Way number 1 contenders eliminator match with Xia Li, Lacey Evans, Natalya, Sonya Deville, and Ronda Rousey. And this was just to set up more storyline with Ronda Rousey.
The worst part is Liv coming out and holding up the title. Like, just the whole thing. I don't know. There's just better ways to move Ronda back into that picture if that's what you want.
But
I don't know.
I
don't know. I just don't go. I don't get it
either.
So, anywho.
Then you had Ronda Rousey meet up with Shayna Baszler backstage. That's gonna be a thing. I mentioned the tag match. After the match, we saw a bit backstage, or maybe it was released on social media. I can't remember exactly. That suggests that maybe LA Knight is going back to the LA Knight gimmick
instead of Max Dupree.
Yeah. And maybe he's going to keep the Max Dupree name, but start acting like LA Knight again. Although I don't know, Max Dupree wasn't that much different, but
no, not really.
It was nice to have Solo Sikoa debut against Drew McIntyre and yet not get destroyed by Drew McIntyre because Karrion Kross came out and put him in a straitjacket. Cross jacket. That's right.
Yep. Cross jacket. I am very excited to see where that storyline's going. Roman not being there, almost in a straight up embrace of heelness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I mean, here's the deal. In the end, we're gonna have him part of the bloodline. We gotta have him.
Did you put in the ad?
I have not yet. It's supposed to be, I think, 3 minutes from now.
Oh, shoot, it was 15 minutes, like 50 minutes ago.
I said about 15 minutes, but that was 17 at the time. I just didn't want to say, oh, it looks like it'll be the ad in like 17 minutes and 40 seconds. There's a timer right here on my screen I'm looking at to know when the ads are. Because I'm fucking freaked out about it.
Did we tell everybody that we're part of the Tatnus podcast? Because
we did not.
Phil Brooks dominated our thought processes.
Yeah.
This week.
Well, we still have Rampage to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's weird. Anyways, we still have Rampage to talk about. And the time since last ad just went up, and I don't know why.
Maybe it just automatically inserts in itself.
It's not supposed to. I'm supposed to press a button. I had the automatic insert turned off because I wanted to make sure no one missed our shit.
Ooh,
on Rampage.
Do that on cam.
Miss our shit? I mean, if someone
put our shit on cam.
If someone throws enough bits at me, you know.
Bits.
Rampage, we had the Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara match, which was great. And of course, Anna Jay, Sammy Guevara powerbombed Darby Allin onto his own skateboard. Trucks up, by the way. That was the part about it that made me cringe at home.
Trucks up, yeah.
Yeah. it wasn't that he powerbombed them on the thing. It was that the trucks were up. Trucks were up, man.
Yeah.
But we had Serena Deeb versus Madison Rayne. This was just a chance to give Serena Deeb another win. Madison Rayne, I think I'm torn right now because I know she brings a lot to the table as a coach. But this was a spot that one of half a dozen other women's wrestlers could have filled. You know what I mean? On Rampage. And I feel like we would have been better off with one of those half a dozen other wrestlers.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Madison Rayne's fine. But, you know, I could have seen, I don't know if Riho's not in the country anymore. Yuka Sakazaki might not be in the country. I keep trying to say company. Kiera Hogan hasn't wrestled on TV in a while. Julia Hart hasn't wrestled on TV in a while. The Bunny hasn't wrestled on TV in a while. I don't think Abaddon's been on TV in a while. This would have been a great spot for
Abaddon's last televised WWE or not Dynamite or Rampage match was the one against Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm. That was like a year ago almost.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while since
I saw Abaddon.
Red Velvet. We could have had Red Velvet out there wrestling. But nope, we had Madison Rayne. She was fine. This match was to set up Serena Deeb, so I don't know. Maybe they wanted Serena Deeb to beat the tar out of someone, and they didn't want to waste one of those other people. I get it. And then the main event, Claudio Casanoli versus Dax Harwood for the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Claudio still has it.
Claudio still has it, although this was a great match. I mean, we knew Dax could wrestle.
Sure.
There's no argument there. But it was nice to see him showcased a bit. But otherwise, I mean, Rampage was good. CM Punk, like I said, like you're saying, he kind of dominated our thought process. Everywhere we went, we heard CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk.
Yeah, I don't even know that I want to give him the credentials of calling him CM Punk. I just kind of want to call him Phil Brooks from now on.
Yeah.
Phil from Chicago.
My brother asked, was this a roid rage situation? I said, listen, it would be one of the biggest scandals in professional wrestling if CM Punk turned out to be on roids. Since he's famously straight edge.
And famously superstar.
Yes. You know, I mean, so much that there was even a point in his debut where someone offered him a beer and he just looked at him like, don't you even know who I am? You know? I just, in the end, like I say, it's so tough because I really, really want to like CM Punk. I'm a fan of his in terms of as a wrestler. Yeah. Okay, here we are. I'm going to click this button to run an ad now.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
We're running an ad. We'll be back in a bit.
Is there an ad running?
Supposedly.
Hmm.
I'm not seeing it. I don't know how ads work on here, but
I don't know. It makes me wonder if they just insert an ad break there
possibly, but
for video.
no, because it's got to go out live. It's one of the subscribers. Oh, It's one of the subscriber benefits that you don't see the ads. And so right now, our subscribers are seeing us talk with no ads.
That would make sense.
But I don't see the ad. Let's see if I do this here. I don't see the ad playing on my feed either, but it could be just that my feed doesn't show the ad either. Anyways, 20 seconds left at the ad, and then we are back.
Ooh. So if you guys subscribe, then you get
no
this
ads.
ad free.
Zero ads. Mm-hmm. You should do that.
Which we just said to people who were subscribing.
Yes, who are already subscribed. Maybe we should repeat that in 1 second.
In 1 second. Hey, welcome back,
Hey,
guys.
welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Hey,
we just
if
came
you
up with a
subscribe,
discovery.
you don't see those ads.
Yeah.
So maybe
That's,
if you don't like to see ads,
an ad-free experience. We'd sure love to give you an ad-free experience.
But anyways, in terms of like this coming week, we've got the two semifinal matches for the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. I expect Bryan Danielson will win versus Jericho. It makes a bit of symmetry for him to win after losing to Jericho at the pay-per-view.
50-50 booking.
Yeah. But also, I mean, Jericho won because of cheating. And if there's a way to stop the cheating, then Bryan Danielson wins. Doesn't hurt Jericho because he's a chicken shit heel.
Ooh, yes, chicken poopy heel.
Chicken poopy heel.
The worst thing they can do with that is have Jericho Guevara win. I'm sorry, is have Jericho and Moxley win, or it'd be Jericho and Moxley would be the worst one they could do.
Yeah. I don't want to see that one again.
We've seen it before. It doesn't tell any stories for the other pieces of the storyline, except for maybe that Jericho has the Blackpool Combat Club's number, I suppose.
Yeah. Like I said, I would love to see it be Sammy Guevara versus Bryan Danielson in the final.
Sammy Guevara.
And then Bryan Danielson can still win. You know, that can be fine. But
so many different ways to book that. Maybe we'll talk about it on fantasy booking.
Maybe.
Are we going to have a short show tonight?
It might end up being a short show. I mean, it happens sometimes when we don't have Mr. Talkative
Talking over himself. Oh. Well, yeah, I don't have much more to say other than fuck Phil Brooks, and I'm pretty sure he's the guy. I'm pretty sure he's the reason that he has problems in his life.
Yeah. Well, that's the deal. I like CM Punk the wrestler. I like CM Punk the storyteller. I don't like CM Punk the I'm more important than the business. I said it, I think, the other day. I think it was telling. In the media scrum, he at one point said, I'm trying to run a wrestling business. Not we're trying to run a wrestling business. I'm trying to run a wrestling business. Ooh, we just got our first channel reward request, and that's hydrate-ish. That's what I drink.
Oh, so we have to drink?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have to actually hydrate? Is it
I
specifically
said I specifically set it up to not say water, because originally it was it was, drink some water, right? Remind them to drink some water. I'm like, how about we just say instead, drink some of your beverage?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, is there one where I have to do the rest of the podcast topless? Because if somebody does that to us.
No. There's one for us to shout them out, one for us to take a drink, one to remind us to sit up in our chairs and have better posture, and one, they have to spend a bunch for it, but one that they get to force us to not fucking curse for a certain
Oh, fuck that noise. How's that? How much is that?
a fucking lot. What did I set that at? 1,500. And it's only 10 minutes. Ixnay on the airing sway for 10 minutes. That means all of us.
Ooh. If we're completely honest about this,
that one's gonna be a tough one for us.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle that.
That's why it's a challenge. That's why it's a reward challenge. But yeah, I think this will probably be a short. Like we'll talk fantasy booking, but what I want to see this week, this isn't fantasy booking. This is more just storyline. I want to see them build up a storyline around the best friends losing the Trios Championship and maybe getting fired up enough to try to win it. Because I really thought this was their chance to course correct and put a belt on them. They've been workhorses for your company since day one. They are AEW originals. Apparently, Big JC says you need to wake up.
He's a dick. Fuck him, and then tell him to fucking go buy the no squaring thing so I can't call him a dick.
Fuck off, dick. Anyways, I would like to see...
We know him, so I don't think he's gonna fuck off.
I would like to see some storyline set up in WWE, maybe giving Rollins a new storyline that's not Riddle related would be nice. I would love to see something Judgment Day related that doesn't have Dom involved, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I think for the time being we've got some Dom.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm excited for Extreme Rules. We don't have our matches set yet. We have more in that tumultuous AEW figured out than we do at WWE.
WWE.
And there isn't a pay-per-view for 4 months with AEW. There is a premium live event though next Wednesday. Or 2 Wednesdays from now, sorry.
Next time they go to fucking Saudi Arabia.
Who? AEW?
No, WWE.
WWE.
Is that the next one? I don't fucking know.
No, it's Extreme Rules next. I don't think that's in Saudi Arabia. They just went overseas. Why would they go overseas again so soon?
Because of dollar bills, y'all.
Dollar bills. It is the traditional October pay-per-view, though. Is Crown Jewel, is that what it is?
Yeah. Extreme Rules, Saturday, October 8th in fucking Philadelphia. They haven't announced another...
I wonder why they've transitioned to Saturdays.
I suspicion, this is just me throwing out there, that it's NFL related.
Oh, that makes sense.
For the time being. And more specifically, because they keep trying to do more stadium shows. And stadiums often have NFL teams.
They do.
And therefore, you can't do a stadium show on a Sunday. That being said, a lot of stadiums also have college football teams.
Wow.
So that makes Saturdays tough too.
Yeah, it does.
And I mean, here's the deal: weekend shows during football season are always going to take a hit because of football, right? I mean, we can talk all we want about baseball being America's sport.
Football is America's sport.
Yeah, that's in name only. That's purely based on the tradition, not based on reality. Baseball gets 1/5 the ratings that NFL gets.
Baseball just has more sports, more events,
More events. They
play
play so many games. And you know, one of the things that baseball wins out on, at least in some ways, is their games are during the week sometimes. You know, often.
Yeah.
And so, you know, instead of being a weekend thing that people plan around, it's a weekday escape from work, you know? That being said, it's part of why I'm glad I don't live in a town with a vibrant baseball MLB team that I wanted to be a fan of, because I'd never be able to go to any games. Because half of the games are in the afternoon on weekdays, and I'm at fucking work. Boy, I'm glad no one cashed in that no cussing one as of right now.
Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fucking Clash at the Castle made us feel that way too. Having to do it on Saturday morning.
Yeah, fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cartoons and stuff. Do they still do Saturday morning cartoons? I don't think they do.
I don't know. I honestly don't.
Anyway.
But anyways, this will be a shorter episode, I think, just because of that. It's also weird because of our Twitch exclusivity, getting all that figured out. And that we don't have JLB here to fucking say stupid shit and make us make fun of him for half an hour.
You know, sadly, he's I feel like both of us are tired, and I'm beat. I trained a dog all day. Oh, I got a dog. Did I tell you I got a dog?
I think you said you were getting a dog, but I don't think I talked to you since you got one.
She's a bitch. Hey, that's a double entendre.
Yeah, that is a pun that was intended.
Yes,
because
all puns are intended.
Yes, unless you're a fucking coward. Well, I hope
maybe on the no swearing.
I hope she did good on the training.
We're working on it. Today we trained her on where her invisible fence is, and so she had a couple moments where she yipped.
Got a little bit of a wake-up call.
Little. I gotta shake my head. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah. But we will be back in a couple days with our fantasy booking, where I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about because we actually have the news from AEW to go over and stuff. And yeah, hopefully JLB will be back for that one. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. For those who came to our first Twitch exclusive affiliate one, thank you for joining us.
We enjoy having you.
We enjoy having you. We will be back in a bit. Make sure to follow us on all of the social medias. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU pretty much anywhere. Whether that's Twitch or Facebook or not Facebook or YouTube's or any of that place. I'm gonna put this out here at the end, even though I know only Twitch people are watching it right now. This will eventually be posted on YouTube and all of that, so you can watch it there as well as on a regular podcast thing. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K. Fabe.
Right
and
there.
This is me being asleep, so
Yep.
so there, Big JC.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
And you can follow JLB at all the shit that's going to be in the doobly doos or wherever.
Just remember, we have a link tree down below in our description.
Yep.
It
go
is
there,
not
you
in
can-
the doobly doos. It's in our description.
Our description.
The
You
page
can
description.
head to our merch store and get things like the Sasha Bear or the Pissant Podcast or the autograph shirt that's like right behind DA Fabe right there, or one of our many other things there. But yes, thank you all for joining us. We will see you soon.
Deuces.